Well, hello, my friends. Kevin the Comic Doctor coming to you with another edition of One on One. My friends, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that my intention with this show was to bring on guests. And for about 2 years, I haven't. I've come on here and gone over topics with you and talked to you guys with the chats and what have you. But last week, I brought on Moneyball Comics. We had a great conversation about the scandal, and you guys really seemed to like that. So I reached out to one of YouTube's most popular comic book enthusiasts out there right now, and he was gracious enough to accept my invitation and come on here to the Comic Doctors One-on-One. You know him as SWAGGLEHAUS. He's actually Mickey Finnegan, and he's here right now. So without further ado, may I introduce to you Emmy Award-winning comic book nerd par excellence, and also now a comic book creator in his own right, Mickey Finnegan. How you doing, Mickey?
Hey, how's it going, Kevin? Thanks so much for having me on the channel today.
No, it's very exciting to have you. And again, thanks for accepting my invitation. Charlo, one of my pressers at the shop, he talks about you all the time. He's like a fanboy.
Oh, really? Oh, hopefully good things.
Oh, yeah. SWAGGLEHAUS this, SWAGGLEHAUS says this. And, it's like, okay, well, I've got to, reach out. To be honest, I don't listen to a heck of a lot of streams. When I'm doing my work here, I usually listen to, movie related, streams. That's my big passion is film and political stuff, but sure. I've been, over the last several weeks, obviously because of the scandal, which I'm not going to talk about. Obviously your channel has popped up quite a bit. So I've gotten to know you quite a bit over the last few weeks. So again, I'm very happy that you're here. Now, why did I bring you here? Again, I don't want to talk about the scandal at this time. But I do want to talk about trends. 2024 is upon us. People are always talking about what books they should look for. What should I buy this year? My question is, have you noticed amidst all the craziness that's going on, any trends that are showing up currently?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always kind of a fun thing to, look at prices and trends and what books are, getting hot or what books are going down in price and all that sort of thing. And, for people who watch my YouTube channel, I've been doing this one sort of series over the course of the last, year and a half or so, where I've created a comic book index, and I actually talk about, the top 100 key comic books within each age for silver, bronze, and copper. Right. And I kind of track the values of them. And one of the reasons why I created it was not just to do stock trading, investing tips or whatever. It was really just like when I started it, we were in a place where prices were bananas and then they were crashing. And then everyone was like, this book's going up and this one's going down. And I really just wanted to know on average what the books were doing. So I created this index, and I've been doing it every single month. And so I'll usually do an update video for that. And, I think like a lot of people can, anecdotally or empirically see, like a lot of comic books have corrected in prices, generally speaking across the board. And that has been true of the index, that I've been able to do. And, generally we've seen, have up months and down months and go side to side every now and again. But generally speaking, we've been kind of going, lower highs and lower lows over the course of the last few months or so. So it's been my thought, and then now we get into all this very boring finance sort of stuff, but it's been my thought and my understanding that I think the comic values have way more to do with like macro economy, macro policies, interest rates, and all that sort of stuff than it really has to do with like, okay, Taylor Swift is going to play Dazzler. Like certainly that has an effect on the Dazzler comic, but
I want to talk about that later, but keep going. Yeah.
But in the grand scheme over the years and over the next couple of years or months or whatever, as far as like books rising in value or correcting or whatever, I think it has a lot more to do with the overall economy. So that maybe went away a little bit from your setup and your question, but that's kind of my general thesis as far as how I look at this type of stuff. And so to what you were specifically asking, like, okay, have I noticed anything specific? I mean, there's always going to be the kind of FOMO book of the week. There's always going to be those ones that have those little pop cultural things that go off and get some excitement, in the comic collector space. But there's still, at this current moment in time, I would say that prices are still sort of finding themselves. And when I say finding themselves, I mean, kind of getting a little bit of that COVID explosion money out of them still.
You think there's going to be a few more weeks, months of a downward trend?
My guess, and again, it's a guess.
Of course.
I don't know, but my guess would be that if you guys know, if you pay attention to like macro economy stuff, like there's talk of like at some point there's going to be interest rate cuts and there's going to be QE and things like that. And so my suspicion would be that there's correlation between the values and where the economy is with that type of stuff. So maybe it's going to be not till like Q2 or Q3 where there's like a bottom, so to speak.
Interesting.
But my guess would be that here's what I'll say in the real nuanced type of stuff. I think in that middle range grade for say like a Silver Age Key, and I'll just pick one at the top of my head, like a Fantastic 448, where there's like there's options. If you're looking for a 4.0 and a 5.0 and a 6.0, there's some of those options, and those middle ranges are starting to. I think those might deflate a little bit more.
Okay,
but on the high end, if it's you need a, well, FF48 might be a bad example, but you know what I mean? So there's certain high-end books like an AF-15s and Hulk 1s at the high grade that I think those might be at the end of their massive drops. But then again, that's just my guess.
Yeah, they've come down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. At first I thought, oh, the movies are starting to stink, so everything's starting to go downhill. But no, I that's pretty, I think primary. I think going back to what you said about macroeconomics and what have you, I started noticing a change in submissions last April. The amount of submissions that were coming in, but not even so much that, but when customer A was sending me 50 books, now I'm getting 15 books. People are started being a little more conscientious of what books they were submitting, and their subs were they're being a little more cautious with their submissions.
Yeah.
And then the prices just kept going down.
Yeah.
Again, as the interest rates kept going up, and milk started costing more and bread started costing more and everything else. So I think I tend to agree with you more on that. But it's interesting that you think that there still might be a little more room for the higher end books to come, or the higher valued books, to come down a bit more.
I think so. I mean, and again, I kind of talk about it all lumped together. There's probably individual ones that don't go with that trend. Because when I do the index, I've created this, like, it's all the popular stuff. So your Hulk 181 is mixed in with your House of Secrets 92, and that's also mixed in with Eternals #1. And so, like,
right,
the trajectory of House of Secrets 92 and Eternals #1, they might continue to go opposite ways for forever at this point.
Do you think an Eternals #1, which now I think are 9.8, I think last I checked they were like $600, maybe less. Do you think a book like that's going to bounce back, considering up until 10 years ago, the book was in a 25-cent bin, right? I mean, there was a book no one wanted.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, like, I tend to think like, okay, like if you got rid of all the movies, because we're kind of in this place, right? Where, like, you mentioned, like, okay, the movies aren't, or people aren't loving them like they used to.
Right.
But if you really were in a place where you waved this magic wand and you got rid of the movies and there was no foreseeable Eternals future, like, what is that collector base that is there for that book? And, like, is there reason to believe that there would be new collectors coming in? Or, like, is there historically, are there a bunch of people that really love Eternals? Or say, does current Marvel comic books and current Marvel publishing, are they doing stories where new readers would, in theory, want to go back and read the Jack Kirby stuff? Like, probably not. So I don't know. It's hard to say. If a book like that can truly bounce back. I don't want to say it can't. I mean, it certainly could, but I wish there was an example of a book that's kind of had that thing where you had a movie for it, and then, like, we can look back in history and say, like, oh, did a book ever really bounce back that fell off so hard? And I can't think of one off the top of my head. And if there was one, then I'd be more like, yes, it can definitely bounce back. But I don't know. I don't
have GPs loaded up right now, but a book that I thought about was like Iron Man 55. the first Thanos, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
always a key book, but it wasn't until Thanos was introduced that book it skyrocketed.
Right.
And that book is still a valuable book. I mean, I think a fella brought a low grade one in to get pressed and clean and graded last week. Hi, Dave. And it was probably about a 4 or 5. It's still a $500-600 book. So I mean, it's softened, but it's still holding on.
Yeah, I know. I think that there will always be value. Like, I don't think it's going to go to zero. Like, there's still going to be some value there. And like, you know, who's the actor that plays Icarus? Richard Madden, is that his name from Game of Thrones? Like, I actually still the movie was whatever. Like, I thought he did an okay job, and it really just takes like one, you know, James Gunn level visionary person to make this movie and bring this character in. And then, you know, how like quick on a dime everyone can swap. And all of a sudden Icarus is like the coolest character again. Like I think about these characters like I do WWE wrestlers, like, you know, all of a sudden it's like one gimmick match and now everybody loves.
They're back on board.
Wrestler again, you know.
Hey, a win solves all problems, right?
Totally.
A win can solve all problems. And let's go to that then, because it's been a slow year. Well, it's going to be a slow year for Marvel and DC offerings this year. Well, before I ask this question, I got to ask you straight up, and I think you already alluded to it. Like I was kind of attacked on Facebook once because people were, you know, why are the prices going down? People were talking about economics and then the current economy and all that. And I just said, well, the movies have been pretty, you know, lackluster. And there's, you know, the movies have nothing to do with the value of comic books, nothing at all. And I'm like, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I mean, I used to, when I go to the shows and when the MCU was going at full steam, the energy in the room, everyone was so happy. Everyone was so excited about what was coming or what was coming next. And people were looking for those, you know, wasn't Dazzler back then, but they were looking for those books that had potential characters, you know, and there was an excitement. And I do think that really, you know, propped up the prices of comics. What do you think on that one? Which camp you know, stay with there?
No. I definitely think the movies have an effect. Like, I mean, these are pop culture collectibles, right? Like, so pop culture is going to make them desirable. Like, so 100% the movies have an effect, and even moved out to anything in that cultural space, like, you know, animated cartoons and video games and all the stuff that makes you love whoever, Spider-Man even more or whatever. And I guess, and so I do think that the lackluster movies have definitely not helped at all, you know, with a lot of the values and stuff. My one sort of pitch as to like why I think the economy maybe has more to do with it is simply due to the fact where I think, generally speaking, Guardians 3 was pretty universally loved, but it's not like the book, it's not like the book's just like doubled overnight again. It's because it's going against this like macro environment.
Right.
And that's my little thing, but certainly the movies have an effect on them. And you could actually make the argument that those books are not tainted like, say, ASM 101 Morbius is in that way.
What a bad movie. What a bad movie.
Yeah. But like, it's just so funny how it's like, it's so unfortunate because all of a sudden now it's it's not cool to post that book on your Instagram anymore, right? Because like someone,
I don't see it at all anymore.
Yeah, someone in your comments is gonna go like, "Oh, that movie was terrible," and it's like, I didn't even see it. I just like the book, you know. But you know, you can't get away from it.
No, it's like a stain, right? It's a stain, a terrible stain. And it was really too bad because I mean the Spider-Man trilogy, you know, that came before it was quite good, you know, and then Morbius came out and it was just awful. Okay, so that's my next question then. So where do you think the MCU, and what do you think the MCU is going to do? We know what DC's doing right now. We know James Gunn is, you know, doing Superman Legacy. It's all written. They're starting to, the casting looks really good. I'm liking what I see so far in that regard. So I mean, it's still very early, but we know they're rebooting. It's something's coming together there. What do you think how do you think the MCU's doing? What do you think of the X-Men? How they're kind of bringing the X-Men in? What do you think of all that? There's lots there. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, some people, rightfully so, have pointed out that, you know, the movies haven't been as good. It feels like Disney being they and Marvel and stuff definitely hit a rock bottom and are sort of trying to, like, from what we can gather, not being inside the building, it feels like, okay, they're sort of you know, halftime adjustments here, you know. So I'm willing to believe that they can turn the corner, they can right the ship a little bit.
I hope so.
You know, I'm more hopeful than maybe some people are, but you know, again, I go back to the fact that it's like nothing's too big to fail, but at the same time, Disney invested heavily into this Marvel brand, and like this is like not just, hey, can we get the next couple of movies right? I mean, even if it crashes and they have to redo the whole thing, like they're still going to redo the whole thing 10 years from now or whatever, right? Like this is a IP that they're heavily invested in. So where do I think it's going? I think it might be pretty good. I mean, I think it seems like the one movie we're getting this year is Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds is universally loved. Seems like he has a lot of creative control in it. And it feels like that movie might get the time in the oven that it needs to be successful. And so, you know, all you need is one or two good ones in a row before everyone starts to, you know, get excited once again. And so that's kind of what I think, like, you know, going into this year, it's like, you just have the one movie that they have to focus on, and who knows, it's probably going to be a lot of fun, you know? So,
well, I think it will be. And I think we're going to see all kinds of cameos and all kinds of, you know, Easter eggs for future films. But do you think it was wise? Because it looks like they are sticking with the Fox brand. You know, what we saw at the end of the Marvel, sorry. We saw, you know, Kelsey Grammer's Beast in there. Sorry, spoiler alert for those that didn't see it. You should have seen it by now. You know, they're gonna go with that. I didn't think that was a great idea, but what do you think of them going and using that previously established universe?
Well, I think it's obviously something, you know, Kevin Feige, I think, as far as I understand, he started with the Fox X-Men film.
That's right, he did. Oh, that's true.
He's got a personal connection to it. It makes a lot of sense on two fronts. One, since they decided to go so hard on this multiverse thing, like it makes a lot of sense to like really canonize this omniverse, right? And when omniverse, meaning like everything that has ever existed superhero is in theory in the same universe to which the MCU is. So it makes sense to bring that all in. And then on the flip side of it, you obviously have like the nostalgia stuff, right? So you can bring back like all the, you know, Hugh Jackmans and the former X-Men and all those characters. So I like it on paper, you know, but really it comes down to execution. Like, will it be good? You know, will they be able to make it feel cool and satisfying in the way that, like, I really love the Spider-Man movie, what was it? Far From Home? No Way Home?
No Way Home I was giddy.
Yeah.
Throughout that whole movie.
It was so fun. And the way that it wasn't, and they did it right? Like they brought Andrew Garfield and they brought Tobey Maguire in. And not only was it just like hey, here they are. It was like they gave them relevance to the story and like gave them a little bit of an arc that felt satisfying. And so it kind of feels like there was a lot of, you know, stuff left opened and unsatisfying with how the Fox X-Men wrapped up. And it feels like, man, like did we even ever get like an Avengers Endgame?
No. Like
all the X-Men charging the field type of thing, you know, blasting the da-na-na-na-na music. Like we never even got that visual, you know? So it feels like there's a lot of that we still need. And
there was no continuity in those movies at all.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know, it was jumping all over the place. We'd have Patrick Stewart in one and then James McAvoy, right? McAvoy in another. And, you know, and it was all mixed up. And again, what happened in one movie didn't really affect what happened in the next. So you couldn't have that Avengers moment because it was all a big giant mess.
Yeah. Yeah. You never really got just like this epic, like everyone is full suited team moment. You know, and that seems like that's something that would be fun to see. Okay.
So we're both looking forward to this. We're both optimistic. That's good. There's a lot of haters out there. Like, look, you can be a critic. No one's telling you can't not like what you're seeing, you know, but it's nice to have that optimistic side to think, you know, things could turn the corner and we could get something good coming out. There's so much negativity out there.
I mean, if you asked me to review the last films, I would definitely tear them apart, you know, but at the same time, I'm still glass half full on this.
Now you're a director, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I work in film. I do directing and screenwriting. Yeah.
And do you know anybody involved in those? Any inside? I'm not going to ask you any of that, but do you
I
know
do,
people?
I do have some sources. I do have some insider things. Nothing that I've ever, disclosed on the channel. But yeah, I always, shoot some text to my insider friends, just asking questions.
Oh, that's cool. All right,
Yeah.
all right, that's awesome. Okay. So knowing that they're probably going to focus on the X-Men, then, if you had to put a list together of say 5 books, and again, guys, if we give you books that we think that you might want to pick up, doesn't mean they're going to explode in value. These are maybe books that we think might be something you want to look at picking up if you get a good deal on them. Which I would assume. Well, I'm not going to say they're going to be X titles, but what do you think, Mickey? What do you think? What are you looking for? What's on your hit list over the next say 6-7 months?
Yeah, well, I mean, I still have the most sort of Marvel Silver Age nostalgia stuff. For me is still kind of like what I personally love. So, X-Men #1. I have like a very low grade copy, but I'd like to keep, upgrading along as I can, if I can.
Okay.
Giant size X-Men 1, I have a low grade copy. That's another one that it's fun to have that I'd like to continue to upgrade. So, as far as those X-Men books, obviously the big time X-Men keys are always going to be the big time X-Men keys, and they'll always be desired. I also really love the Neil Adams stuff. Like I like, when you get to like X-Men 60,
Havoc
on and Havoc and stuff.
Polaris,
Like,
yeah.
I love those covers, outside of spec. Like I don't know if we're ever going to get Sauron in a movie, but I would be excited about that.
Okay.
And then of course, like all the John Byrne stuff. I mean, talk about a one book that has been able to just weather the storm of all price corrections. X-Men 101, the Phoenix cover. Yeah. Man, like that is one of the books that while it had a little bit of softening, that one has not corrected that much. Like that one has really, really weathered the storm. And I don't know if it's just like, that run, that moment, that storyline is so valuable to collectors, and that cover is so incredible that, nobody wants to sell their copy. But that one, I think for a long time, it's going to be, a keeper book desired amongst collectors.
Yeah, I had a 9/8 white pager on that. And I don't know why I got rid of it. I don't know.
That's definitely the one. Yeah, you look at some of those prices. I'm pretty sure about this. Like at the 9/8 level, like it has not come down like other, 9/8 books, similar ilk.
It was around 10 grand Canadian, I think, at the time when I had it about 3 years ago, and I got it in a trade, and then I was like, oh, it's a modern book, and you spend that kind of money. I'm not big on the modern books. I just am not. So
yeah,
I'm right. Like you. I'm more into the silver stuff. So I kind of had it, enjoyed it, and I got rid of it really quick.
Yeah.
So I put it into a Tales Suspense 39. So a
yeah.
little more stable for my liking. But okay.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I noticed someone in Astro Lucky in the chat was, let's hear the spec and stuff. And again, look, I'm not telling anyone to buy anything. Okay. I'm just saying, what you got to look at the X-Men stuff. You got to think, okay, well, what hasn't been done and where's the MCU? They have Guardians of the Galaxy, space, Eternal stuff going on. X-Men has a lot of stuff connected to, the Shi'ar and the characters like Gladiator and Lysandra and all those characters. So, off the top of my head, what is that book? Their first appearance of the Starjammers and all those.
It's early one.
Yeah, one something. But in that window, we've never seen Gladiator, and you could tell like Gladiator is a character that can cross to Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men.
Right.
So I like characters like that. I find those ones kind of interesting.
Yeah, people are saying here. I'm Canadian. I'm a big Alpha Flight fan. And people that follow me on the channel know I love my 109. In fact, if you come to my office, my front door, I have a wrap of 109, Guardian coming out. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, so good.
And 121, 122. I don't know.
What team are you on for that one?
What do you mean?
The 121 and 120, right? There's like the cameo cover, and then there's the.
Yes. Which one do I think is the first appearance of Alpha Flight?
Yeah. Which one do you think is the one to get?
I like the one this it's a 121, right? The second one.
Yeah, that's like it's like the snow, the
yeah,
white
that's the
feather.
best one. The blue
Yeah.
one is okay, but they're kind of hidden. The
Okay,
next one's the
I
best.
agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
I
for
like
sure.
121 more. Yeah.
Now, growing up, did you collect Alpha Flight when you were a kid?
I was not on the Alpha Flight train. I mean,
Okay.
I like them, like as far as like, yeah, that's cool, but I never collected that run or anything.
I always wondered if it was popular with with American comic book collectors. I know do you know who Robert Meyer Burnett is?
Yeah.
He's an Alpha Flight fan. I was kind of shocked when he told me he was. I'm like, oh, really? That's
Yeah.
one
Well,
of theirs.
I think that Alpha Fight run, you know, during the 80s, I still think that was a pretty popular run in amongst collectors all throughout that time. So I feel like there's probably a lot of people that became fans.
It's John Byrne too. You can't go wrong with John Byrne. 107 Vancouver Comic Junkie said, "Is that the first Starjammers?"
Yeah, that one, the 107 first Starjammers for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So again, 129 Kitty Pryde, obviously. You got your 130 First Dazzler. I can't keep those. They come in, they're gone. Like even in shitty condition, they're gone.
Oh yeah. That obviously that one is crazy. Like I don't know if I personally would go out and say like buy the first one I saw type of thing, but if I found it in the wild being sold for a good price, maybe I'd grab it.
Yeah, and all those, I love all those Wolverine covers, and I'm gonna get them all mixed up now. And I see them every day. I got them all. I was fortunate enough about 3 years ago. I bought almost 3 full runs of the Burn stuff, like, and they just put them away. And now I'm digging them out now and putting them up the shop for people. And I'll get the numbers all mixed up. Is it 130? 140, 41 is the Days of Future Past. Those are popular. They're always popular.
There's the Hellfire Club one where he's like the solo cover with Wolverine. Yes. I can't remember what it is. Yeah.
It's the best. And he's in the gutter, right? I love, like those you can't go wrong with those. And those, I think, again, you're the expert. They've been trending kind of up. They may slow down a bit there, but they're not like sinking. They're kind of right. Are they not?
I think everything relative to the height of 2021 has like crashed. If you're comparing that peak craziness price, but generally speaking, everything is still above where it was selling for in 2020 before things went crazy. So
right. Yeah. Everything's settled down. Yeah. Okay. So, we did Marvel. We might as well just do DC really quick.
Sure.
James Gunn's a wacko and he loves to play with obscure characters. I'm hearing Metamorpho, I'm hearing The Question, even like those types of characters. The Creeper, Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
Are you hearing any rumblings or things that you might keep your eye on?
I don't know. I mean, they just announced Cersei, the Wonder Woman villain. She was cast.
Right.
I can't remember off the top of my head which Wonder Woman book it is, but she's coming in. I feel like this Superman movie that he talked about is jam packed with like they have a bunch of characters that are going to be in it. They had some Green Lantern is going to be in it.
Guy Gardner, I heard too.
Guy Gardner, John Stewart, I think he said too, is going to come. So it's like I don't know what they're doing exactly with the Superman movie. It feels like it's going to be jam packed with a lot of characters. But yeah, I mean the DC stuff is. People are really excited about, the DC stuff. I mean, I'm hopeful. I love James Gunn's films. I think he literally has to hit, well, not literally. I mean, he has to figuratively hit a grand slam in order for
absolutely
this to actually work. Like talk about, being a glass half full. Like, I mean, Superman has to make $1 billion for DC and Warner to really go through with the plan that he announced, where we're going to get like the Booster Gold show, and we're going to get the Swamp Thing movie, and we're going to get all this other stuff. Like, I mean, because you think about this past year that they had with like Aquaman box office and Flash and Blue Beetle, it's they got to refill their piggy bank a little bit over before they start greenlighting all these other TV shows and movies.
It was just they went out with a whimper, it was just kind of. I didn't even go see Aquaman. Did you see it? I didn't go see it.
No, I didn't see it.
That's what I mean, right?
And go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to say even my wife and I started watching Echo. We watched one episode. And I was like, well, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm gonna watch the, I gotta watch the Bear first. We're not gonna watch Echo. It's done. It's over. You don't care.
I'll be honest. I tried watching the first episode, and I I had to slog through it, and then I started episode 2, and I was like, and then I just went to episode 6 and watched the previously on section, and then just kind of it was. I was like, I'm just not that interested.
There's so much good stuff out there right now, and if you watch the Globes and and the Emmys the other day, I mean, lots of good stuff, lots of series that just sink your teeth into. You're going to go spend the time watching this dribble. Like, let's be honest, the writing's terrible. It's awful. It's just going, it's politically driven. It's just it's awful. Anyway.
There's so many things. I mean, again, if I wanted to put on my pretentious film student hat and really dig in, I would rip it apart. And again, I try, because as someone who works in film, and shout out to Vancouver Comic Junkies in the chat,
right?
He works in entertainment too. So
nice.
I'm both so sympathetic to how difficult it is to make good art.
Damn right.
But at the same time, I mean, this is the big leagues. You're in the pros. You're getting paid the big bucks. So so you gotta execute, and so you are open for the scrutiny that comes with
nothing. I teach. I'm a high school teacher. I have a film class I teach, and I show a movie, and what do you think, guys? And shit. Whoa. Well, they don't say that word. They didn't like it. Well, why? It sucked. It sucked. There you go. Well, why? Why did it suck? A lot of people went into the making of this film. You know what I mean? So, and even like when you're talking about, it's like what you're saying, you're talking about Echo and stuff. You don't want to crap on it because, a lot of effort and money and time was spent putting it together, and you don't want to see it fail.
Yeah.
You don't ever turn on a superhero show or I don't ever go to the movies wanting it to suck, right? You want it to be fantastic. Of course not. Yeah. You want to celebrate it, so I get exactly what you're saying. Pat Sherwood's in the house. Pat says he backed you on SWAGGLEHAUS's first Kickstarter. Is that with your comic Sanity?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pat. Yeah, I did. I work in film. I do writing and screenwriting and things like that. And so I decided to write a comic book. And last year I did a Kickstarter for the first issue of a series I wrote. And now I'm gearing up for issues 2 and 3.
Oh, nice.
Next round. Yeah.
And did you do the art, or you just did the write? You just wrote it and then
I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote the comic book. I partner with an artist. His name is Santiago Espina. Fantastic artist. And so he and I together have been kind of building out this series and world and all that. It's been really, really fun and very rewarding.
Did that come out of COVID because everything's trying to shut down and you had time, or?
Yeah, it was just I had this idea and like being, a writer and then being in YouTube and doing the comic book space and stuff. Like I just had never worked in comics. And then I thought to myself, well, that would be a bucket list thing to do, to be able to write my own comic book. So I just one day decided to go for it. And I, just came up with an idea and put it all together and ended up writing it. And then, after I got it to a place, the script where I felt like, okay, this is worth exploring, then I found an artist and invested in it and put the money to get it created and all that. And then actually did the Kickstarter and didn't look back.
Actually, that's awesome. And so if somebody wants to pick up that comic, can they still do so, or is it sold out?
So all the variants are sold out. They're still.
I saw you burning some of them. I saw that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is a very inside baseball type of collector commentary stuff about print runs and
right. Burn them all. So
the shenanigans stuff. I mean, my joke being, it's in this world, it's limited to 100, but really we all know that there's more printed and all this stuff. So that was my joke of I'm actually making mine limited. But those are sold out. But I have a website. It's swagglehauscomics.com. And so you can still order a copy. And when I get to the next Kickstarter, I'll have catch-up tiers, as they call them.
Okay. And I put the link to that. That link's down below, guys, in the info section there. I don't think my blue wrench is here today. So I did put that down there. So if anybody wants to go check out Sanity, Rise of the Occult, #1, check that out. Yeah. Again, thanks, Pat, for letting us know that. Kind of kind of veered off there a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Promote you as well.
Yeah,
Why not?
don't derail with me selling my comic book here.
No, that's okay. But listen, let's talk about one last thing. I'll let you go. I don't want to keep these. I don't want these to go on for 2 hours or whatever. But we'll talk about quickly Matt Nelson's the interview that we saw a few days ago. And I know you already commented on it. 9.9 pre-screen.
Oh man.
Carlo wanted me to ask you. He put a I think a reel on Instagram today, and you actually I think commented on Carlo. He goes, ask SWAGGLEHAUS about this because this is ridiculous. And so I'm asking now, 9.9 pre-screen. I'm sorry, Mickey. I always thought that when I sent my books in, there was potential for them to get a 9.9. Wasn't that the case?
You would think that was the thing, right? I thought that the philosophy was every book starts at a 10. And then we work our way down from there, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
There was always that potential. Well, yeah, it's really funny. It's crazy. Obviously, from shout out to West Coast Dave and Manu 99 Newsstand, and they had an interview with Matt. And even though the interview was around the Reholder situation, somewhere in there, out came this hot topic about possibly doing 9.9s in the future or a 9.9 pre-screen. And it's really funny because it almost feels like, that meme of like the guy who's holding the hands of the girl and he has his head turned and he looks at the other hot girl walking in the street.
Yeah.
There's like that meme template where it's like, now he's like comic outrage is done with Reholder Gate. Now we're on to 9.9 pre-screen.
Right. I get what you're saying. It's old news. Let's talk about this. I got you.
The new one, but it is interesting. And to that reel that he made. It's a fantastic point because in the what Matt had said was, if we do a 9.9 pre-screen, maybe you would pay a little of a premium for that so that people could spend more time looking at your book to determine that, this is a 9.9. And the reel, he made a great point about like, wasn't that always what it was supposed to be? And so it's one of those things where I made a video talking about 9.9s being the new 8. And I always like to be a little facetious and jokey on my channel and stuff, but it really seems like, this is just another avenue for them to, create a revenue stream. Like this feels inevitable that they were always going to go this route. And if I'm going to be very charitable to them, I think that if they could go back in time and start CGC all over again, they probably should have been giving out 10s and 9.9s from the beginning.
Exactly.
Like they probably should have. And I don't know what happened where 9.8 just became, you might know this stuff better than I, because you're sending books all the time and all this. Like, I don't know why like 9.8s just became the perfect book, but I don't know. Maybe they're just thinking now that like, oh, you know what? We should have done it like that from the get-go. And now it does make sense to give 9.9s and all this stuff. And I don't know. What do you think about this?
It's an absolute money grab. It's a tax. It's a tax. You want a 9.9, you got to pay for that 9.9. And because, and you know what? In the past, I think people have paid for 9. I'm going to kind of go off topic a bit, but that ASM one that, we all saw sold last week for 1 point whatever million.
Yeah.
And, it was a crack and press. Was it a press? Really? Was it a press?
Oh yeah.
Come on. They didn't press that friggin' book. They took it out. The guy paid whatever the 4% of the value they put on
million,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did the same thing with that Action Comics a few years back. I think it was was that place in Midtown Comics or whatever? It was their book. And it went from a 7.5 to an 8 or something like that. It's the same thing. Okay. It just drives me crazy. You're pointing out all the defects on it. Yeah, you're being facetious about that too. And I get it. But back to the 9.9, it's ridiculous. If they did it initially, like you said, when they started out of the gate, fine. But now there are guys out there that have paid stupid money for 9.9, New Mutants 98s or X-Men 266s. The only 9.9 book I've ever done. I've gotten 9.9s for moderns all the time, but when it comes to older books, books from the 80s, once I got a 266 back. And this is going back about 5 years ago. And when I sent the book in, it looked like 9698, probably 9698, 99. Oh, the owner was happy. He sold it that day for like $3,000. Then the guy who bought it from him sold it for $9,000 the next day, and then it sold for 20 within a week. So that sucker who spent 20 grand on a 9.9 first gambit, well, now there's going to be a hell of a lot more 9.9s coming.
Yeah.
So what does that do, right? I know.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, you know, like, look, like, and again, everyone should do their own thing. And technically, you know, let's remember, it's not actually a real thing yet, right? Like,
no, it's not. They may not do it.
It's not. They may not do it. But if I had that X-Men 266 and 99, I would probably sell it.
Oh, damn right.
Right now. You know what I mean? Like, I would not want to hold that book. Like, because how many more are going to come to census after that? You know what I mean? Like, it's bound to happen at that point.
A big selling feature. A lot of my clients will say, you know, and they'll say, Kevin, thank you. You know, highest grade on the census.
Yeah,
highest grade. And I'm talking usually older books, you know, or more rarer books. Highest grade in the census, and it means something when you go to sell that book. It's the only one, right? So now all these books that were the only one are going to have brothers and sisters joining them. And yeah, it's a dickish thing to do, I think, from CGC. I think they need to rethink that one. You've established that 9.8 is the pinnacle. 9.9 is very special, and 10 is like the when, you know, unbelievable when it comes to older books. So yeah, I don't think it's
I don't know, and it just feels like, man, I mean, talk about the culture we already have, like, kind of surrounding like the 9.6. You know, like the value difference of like what a 9.8 is compared to a 9.6. And
exactly
like Chris was saying in the chat, it's like, it's gonna hurt the 9.8, not just value, but just even like the, you know, we make the jokes about like the 9.8 snobs, right? Like, you know, you got to have the best, right? And
yes,
understandable, I get it, but now it's gonna just, you know, 9.8's not good enough anymore. You got to have the 9.9s.
And those guys will want them. White pages.
Yeah.
White pages.
Yeah.
I don't understand white pages on modern books. Like, the books are made of like plastic almost, and they're like all, you know, there's barely any white in them, but they still say white pages. I don't get that. But yeah, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, so yeah, and as you were talking about that, my blood was kind of boiling. that kind of stuff. And I know it has, again, guys, this isn't for sure, right? This is Matt Nelson throwing it out there. These are things we're thinking about. I think they should be thinking about security, you know, and fixing the problems that they're currently facing, quality control, getting on top of their shipping department, because them and me don't see eye to eye because they do things wrong all the time, and forget about all this other newfangled stuff. And there's other things I think they can do to generate revenue more so than, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll see. It definitely is you know, an interesting conversation. And I think it's good. You know, we're all invested in it, but I think it's good to at least start to, you know, we put our thoughts out there into the ether, and then through osmosis, you know, CGC will hear it and soak it in.
Well, again, going back to Scan, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I mean, even just the way that worked. I mean, it started small, and it just kind of, like you said, the ether, and it kind of floated around. Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
And you know, and so that's good. That's good that we have that this community that can back each other up when stuff like this goes sideways, or if we don't like what they're saying, or we don't like what they're putting out there. Right. So, yeah. Well, listen, I told everybody, again, I don't want to keep Mickey here for too long. Are you got places to go, Mickey?
No, I'm all good. I'm all yours.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask if anybody has any questions for SWAGGLEHAUS. Now is the time. If you want to ask a question, he's here. He's live. You can throw it out there. If not, I'm going to let this poor man go. What time is it over there in sunny Los Angeles?
Oh, it's early. It's only 6:15.
Oh, nice. And the sun is shining today?
No, it's dark now. It's dark now.
Oh, is it dark? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's cold. It's you know, it's cold for my Southern California.
Yeah. It's been dark here since like 4:30, and it's like minus 20 today. It's like with the windshield. It sucks. Yeah. It sucks. Yeah. I noticed on your bio on your website the Much Music Award. You won a Much Music Award for one of your videos?
I did, yes. Back in the day, I in my early directing career, I did a lot of music videos. So we won a Much Music Award for one of them. Yeah,
that's up in Toronto. Then you just come up and get it.
The Canadian Music Award. No, I didn't go to the show. You know,
oh, you didn't. Okay.
The artist got to go up and.
Oh, I see.
Take the award. Okay. I didn't get the invite. You know.
Oh, what the hell's that, man? The creator, snub. That's not right. I saw that. Well, that's cool. Man, we used to watch Much Music back in the day. Yeah, all right. Let's see if anybody's asking. Okay, Jive Turkey's asking, which music video? Do you remember?
Oh, so yeah, one of the artists that I worked quite a lot with is this group called LMFAO. And so I think that one was for a song called I'm Sexy and I Know It. So I made their music video. If you guys know that song, that era.
That song was a song about me, I remember, I think. If I
Yes,
remember
yes,
correctly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
Before the beard and all the Santa Claus look. That's
Yeah, yeah.
before all that time. Here we go. Fred Gago says, I'll put it up on the screen, everybody can see it. Would Swaggle direct any live action shorts of his comic?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do something like that. I think what I will say and what I've been trying to explore is doing animated stuff for it, at least to start. I'm trying to do marketing stuff, trailers and little animations things, and try to build out the world through this. Have a lot of different ideas and even like doing. I'm a big fan of thinking about digital comics. And I think one of the things I don't like about digital comics is that I think it's like kind of in this awkward space where, like, obviously I prefer to have the trade and read it physically,
of course,
but like, I don't mind the idea of a digital comic, but it seems like if you're on a screen doing a digital comic, like, well, shouldn't it be a little bit more? Like, should we have it be like almost like a motion graphic comic story time stuff, like narrated, like moving images? So I've thought about doing stuff like that. Like, oh, what if I just animated my comic, and did like a story time sort of feel.
So you've got animation background too, then yourself?
Not like a little bit. Yes. I've done a lot of writing and animation stuff.
So. But outsource a little bit of that too. Okay. That's cool. That'd be very cool. That's a great idea, actually. Okay. Here's one. And talk about revenue streams. Anthony Wheeler says, and maybe you've heard something about this. I haven't. Will there ever be custom labels for DC from CGC?
I hadn't heard that, but just today I was tagged in, someone on Instagram tagged me about, like, CGC, I think, just put out a post asking about, hey, what characters would you like us to start doing custom labels for? Which ones that we haven't? So I don't know. Do you think they have some like weird exclusive deal with Marvel only? And that's kind of like how they're able to do it.
I just thought Warner Brothers was being really sticky about it, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they do. I'll tell you, I was never a crazy fan for the custom labels, but I have some clients that are die hard. They want every single book with a custom label. They don't, and if it doesn't have it, they'll send it right back for one, when a new one comes out that is appropriate.
Right.
So you talk about revenue stream. There you go.
Well, not to bring up the Reholder stuff, but I think I'd stay away from the custom labels for just a little bit longer.
Oh, but I actually was weird. I had a Reholder to send in just after all this, and the top of do I have a slab here? Yeah, I have a slab here. Here's one that's got to go back to. You're still waiting on them. I don't want to talk about that, but it was cracked like along the top, right? It looked totally suspicious. I said, "Oh shit!" Right. So I sent it in. I put a big note on it. I said, "Listen, I know this looks incredibly suspect." I said, if you want to regrade it, be my guest. But I go, this is how it came. So it was like a $500 book. It's not like it's a $10,000 book with a friggin' insert in it. Let's see. Well, Rock City says, hit that like, people. 70 watching, only 34 likes. Rock City is correct. What the heck, guys? Yeah. I bring Mickey all the way here from Los Angeles, California, and you can't hit the like button? Come on, please hit that like button. And by the way, hit the subscribe button too. It allows you to join in the conversation if you have any comments. Timothy says, here we go. This is a question for Mickey. What kind of variants do you all like? Australian New Mutants 98 price variants. I'll leave that one to you, Mickey, because I'm not big on variants personally. I just like I'm boring. The direct edition's fine for me. I will not pay more for a newsstand or even a CPV. I'm not paying more, but some guys do. What about you?
I'm similar. I'm boring. I prefer just, your run of the mill type of book. And even in the modern stuff too, I don't really like buying cover Bs and things like that either. I kind of think of cover A as it's like you go to a restaurant and the chef is like, this is how it's prepared. And then I tell them, can you take this ingredient off? And it's like, no. Cover A, this is how you wanted to present your meal.
Exactly.
So I prefer that.
I agree. And Kevin from California. Does Swagger have any idea how big a deal you are? I don't know if he does or not.
I haven't. I know how big a deal Kevin is. That's why I'm on your show.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Of course. Someone else had a good question here. Where'd it go? There it is. Will Swag ever come to our Comic-Con? Alan Smart says. I think he means, will you ever come to Fan Expo Toronto? It takes place at the end of August. Don't know.
I would love to go to Fan Expo Toronto. I've only been to Toronto once.
Once, wow.
Yeah, and it's been a little while, and I was only there for a couple days, like going to Montreal.
All right.
So, yeah, I need to go back up to Canada. I love Canada.
Now, I do notice you do cons all over the United States, or just kind of in your own state?
I definitely go to the SoCal ones, like San Diego. So I'm LA, right? So I'll go to like San Diego Comic-Con and WonderCon is here and things like that. And then I've done New York. I went to Terrific Con just because I got peer pressured by a bunch of the good friends in the community to go. Which no, not peer pressured, but it was just a lot of fun to go. And went to a Collector Summit for fun. And if I can do them, if I can find the time and it's a weekend and just, hop on a plane and pack a backpack and just make a trip, like it's definitely a lot of fun. And so I think if I went to Toronto, I would definitely kind of combo some sort of
you have to, I think,
vacation type of aspect to it,
like I mean, I'm not saying you're not like Mark Hamill or anything like that, but I mean, they're not going to pay for you to come. You'd have to approach them, I guess, and say, I want to set up. And what would be the reason, aside from a trip to Toronto to check out our city, going to a con like that? Are you promoting your comic book? Are you promoting your YouTube channel? Are you promoting, like, what would you promote? Like everything, or are you focused on one thing?
Well, I think if I went, like, I probably would just go as, I would apply for the press badge or content creator badge or something like that. If they did that.
Yes, they do that. Yeah,
I could at least make a video about my trip, so it could be a little vlog or something.
Yeah.
So I do that, but I think it's really just to be out there and see if I can find any good deals out there. How are the prices at that con?
The prices are always inflated at the Comic Cons, aren't they, guys? Hey, Toronto guys. I mean, but everybody wants to deal, right?
Yeah, every con has bigger stickers, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize, sometimes they don't realize quite what an ordeal it is for dealers to go to the show, the setup costs, everything, the hotels. It's crazy. They got to make their money back somehow. So let's see if we get one more and we'll let you go here. If anybody. Okay, so this is from another one from Anthony Wheeler, and we'll call it, would you ever trade your whole collection? And I understand you have a lot of Darkhawk #1s, so those would be included too, for one big book, like an AF-15 or a Superman #1.
Would I?
All those books behind you. First Doc Ock, First Lizard. I can see them all there.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Like, I think if I did it, what would people react? Like, imagine if I made a video one day where it was like, I traded it all. And like, my whole thing was like, my wall was empty. And then it was just like a Superman one or something up there. I think I suppose I would, but I think if I did do that, it's not like I would just then retire and be like, okay, now I gotta fill up this wall again.
I start all over again. And the addiction.
It's like just the never ending hunt, that really it's all about. But I might. I mean, my grail is Captain America #1, Captain America Comics #1.
That'd be awesome.
So I could maybe imagine a scenario where I'm like, all right, how do I scrounge up $100,000 to, get this book? I might have to trade my wall plus cash,
Yeah, I think I would do it. I got a lot of biggies. I've got pretty much all the Marvel keys from the 60s. Being in this business has afforded me the opportunities to buy them and pick them up, obviously. I should have sold all of them last year.
Yeah. That's kind of my little, like, That's sort of my little like, yeah, right. You know, because every now and again I get the comments where it's like when I do the index video where people will say like, man, I knew the prices were going to come down. I called it. And it was like, did you sell your whole collection in 2021? Because you should have.
Yeah.
You know, you could buy it all back now, but
yeah, for half the price, right?
Yeah,
and oh my God, it makes me sick. I didn't even realize it had gone up quite. Like I knew it was crazy, but I'll be honest, and it's all their fault. It's all their fault. I didn't, because I don't have time to be looking at pricing and to do my own books. I have so many CPRs I need to do of my own, including a beautiful ASM one that I just haven't had a chance in 3 years to send in. I just don't have time. And
I mean, you're working. It's like your business, you know.
It's constant. Yeah. It's constant. And then I was doing a show a few weeks ago, and I don't know how it brought it up, but I have an X-Men 1 and a 4.5, and I picked it up for like $4,500 before the craziness, Canadian, and I read somewhere it hit 32,000 US. I said, no, that cannot be right. That cannot. Freaking sure enough, it sold for freaking 32,000 US.
That's crazy. I know.
Oh, I wish I had a DeLorean. Okay. Mickey, listen, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
No problem. That was great. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to try to do this every week, every other week. I've got a few other guys lined up. So maybe in the future, I'll call you back if you want. You can come back again, another topic, another thing we can talk about, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always down.
All right. Well, again, thanks so much, guys. This is SWAGGLEHAUS, Mickey Finnegan, all the way in from Los Angeles, California. If you guys aren't following him yet, what are you waiting for? Get on over to his YouTube channel. Just type in SWAGGLEHAUS and you'll find him. He does a lot of fantastic videos, pretty daily. I wouldn't daily every other day.
Not quite daily. Yeah, a couple times a week.
Yeah, so you're going to see tons of great information there for you. And again, visit his website too. It's down below. You can check out his book, Sanity, Rise of the Occult. All right. Thanks, Mickey. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And thanks everyone in the chat. Really appreciate you inviting me on.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. Bye now. All right, guys, there you go. SWAGGLEHAUS was in the house. He is now gone. What a great interview. You know, I'm new at this sort of thing, guys. I hope I'm doing an okay job. I want to thank all of you for coming in today. Again, if you're new here, I do live CGC unboxings every single Tuesday, as long as the books are here, and they've been coming in regularly, guys. I send approximately 400 to 500 books to CGC every single month. So I always have tons of books to showcase to you. That happens Tuesday nights at 8:30, and Thursdays and Wednesdays will be my kind of one-on-one days. Next week, I'm working on the Plaid Stallion. Brian from Toy Ventures magazine is going to be here. This guy, man, if you haven't checked out Toy Ventures, you need to go over to his YouTube channel. He is like a human encyclopedias of toys we all love from our childhood. I'm talking late 1960s, 70s, 80s. Boy, he has a magazine called Toy Ventures as well, which is available at most comic stores all over North America. He'll be here. Well, we're hoping to get him here next week, so keep your eye on that. So until that time, my friends, thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you again very, very soon next time. Bye for now.